Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here tonight with a Tuesday night of wrestling. I sat down basically, on these nights that basically I try to watch something old schoolish. I try to go back and watch something that I've never seen before. And right now, I'm kind of focusing in a lot on like that 2002, 2003 run that I missed. I know that. Last month, only a few weeks ago, I watched that Royal Rumble that Chris Benoit won. And I'm pretty sure I had never seen that in my whole life. Another big moment that happened in WWE in 2003 that I missed, I always talk about is the rise of Evolution. I came in right at the very end of Evolution when they were doing the Batista versus Triple H match at WrestleMania 21. So something I missed was the Elimination Chamber of 2003. It happened at SummerSlam on that pay-per-view. I really, as I was fast forwarding through the show, I did not know what the hell was going on. We had Biker Undertaker out there fighting with A-Train. Prince Albert, he had Sable with him as a manager. I didn't know why that made any sense at all. Shane McMahon fought Eric Bischoff. I wasn't sure if that was like the two GMs of Raw and SmackDown just going out there and beating the hell out of each other for some reason. And then the match that happened before the main event wasn't even a championship match. It just was Kane versus Rob Van Dam. I had no idea why they were so high on the card, why they got so much time. There was no title on the line. It made no sense to me. I have no idea what was happening at this time. Shortly after me deciding that I was not going to watch wrestling anymore, a lot of the WCW guys came to work for WWE. They're, I'm going to call them non-competes, but I'm not really sure what they were. They were under contract, but not under the WCW to, I think it was called Time Warner, where their contracts were guaranteed no matter what happened. So when the company closed and WWE bought them, they were still under contract, still getting paid. And a lot of those deals that they had with Turner was more than Vince was going to offer. So, some guys like Booker T and Diamond Dallas Page that knew that they needed the exposure to have the run to make more money. They took the buyout, took pennies on the dollar in order to go work for Vince because they knew in the long run that would help them out more. So I missed guys like Goldberg, Kevin Nash, some of the big names of WCW coming in to WWE. Goldberg's run in WWE, it wasn't long at all. Almost that comeback run of him coming back, for the Saudi shows, for him coming back for the him versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series run that, was really supposed to be building up the video game, but it ended up being bigger than we all thought it was going to be because Goldberg squashed him in a matter of seconds. I want to say that was 2016, but I'm not 100% sure. What year that was, and I'm pretty sure that's what it was. That run was pretty much longer than this WWE run. I watched this match. I was really, really surprised how it seemed like Kevin Nash just wasn't over at all. It was like almost like as if nobody cared about Kevin Nash. Goldberg was really, really over. And I kind of forgot that, with the chamber, they put them into the pods. And the last two guys are the guys that are actually going to start the match. But I really was surprised by the fact that, Triple H made his entrance. And then Goldberg came out. And I was like, oh, Goldberg must be one of the ones starting the match. But then out came Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels. They ended up being the ones that started. So it almost seems as if the way that they were presenting it was that Goldberg was the bigger star. He got the entrance coming all the way out of his locker room, much like WCW, coming all the way out to the ring with the security guards and the pyro and this, that, and the other. Pretty wild stuff. When I watched this match, I honestly thought it was a big disappointment. that Goldberg didn't get the win. We're talking about a match that's 20 years old. So, starting out with a spoiler, I think it's pretty wild if somebody's to call me out on that, but it's been done before. I don't know if watching this match would have made me want to order the next pay-per-view, which I believe was Unforgiven, where Goldberg actually wins the championship in a career versus title match, with some stipulations, like if Triple H, gets counted out or is disqualified, that he actually would lose the title. He couldn't just cheat his way out of the match. More surprising is that when Kevin Nash was making his entrance into the ring to get into the chamber, they said that he had lost a hair versus hair match to Chris Jericho on the Monday Night Raw before SummerSlam. I had to go read up on that, trying to find out what the hell that was about and what kind of feud those two guys were in to have a hair versus hair match. But I guess it just turns out that he had to cut his hair because he was going to be getting ready to make the Punisher movie. This was actually the end of his run in WWE. Once his deal came up, he ended up coming in to WWE, where he, did the Hell in the Cell. He had the feud against Triple H right off the bat. I guess it just didn't hit as well as they thought it did, because he didn't quite do a year in WWE before, I guess, maybe him going to make the Punisher, what he thought was going to be his call to Hollywood. Of course, he would make The Longest Yard. That actually would be a few years later. But I think that he was trying to transition out of wrestling. Once he lost this match, it ended up being a couple of years, but then he popped up in TNA. He'd actually be there for 2005 to 2011 before coming back and doing the one last run, where he, popped up at SummerSlam, supposed to do the match against CM Punk, but that just set up the ladder match against Triple H, which that whole feud still makes no sense to me at all. Why Triple H subbed for him on the United Champions pay-per-view, why that meant that Triple H fought against Kevin Nash. In storyline, did Triple H have Kevin Nash show up at Survivor Series or at SummerSlam? Did he not? I still don't know. It really doesn't really make any sense to me at all. But as I said, this match started out with Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. This is only a few months after WrestleMania 19. They are on the road to WrestleMania 20. I really thought they were going to play up on the fact that they had just come out of the feud at WrestleMania. I don't know if maybe, Jericho was a babyface at this time or something like that, but I didn't know why they didn't play up on the fact that these guys just were in a huge rivalry that started at the Royal Rumble, with Michaels being eliminated by Chris Jericho, them having the match at WrestleMania. They play up on the fact that, Jericho grew up being a huge Shawn Michaels fan, even though Jim Ross says that he was a great athlete in the 80s. And I don't know if anybody was looking at Chris Jericho. I'm sorry, I don't know if anybody was really looking at Shawn Michaels in the 80s as being one of the best wrestlers in WWE. He was in the Rockers. He was a member of a great tag team, but I don't think he ends up winning a championship in WWE until, off the top of my head, like 1992-ish. So that didn't really make sense. Kevin Nash, when he ended up coming into the Elimination Chamber, Jim Ross calling him a 4-time WCW champion is really surprising. This is 2003. They're fresh off acquiring WCW right before, WrestleMania 18. So I guess it's been about 2 years. But, that's the same thing as if they were to call somebody a former TNA champion or a former Impact champion, a former AEW champion. They've never really, on the shows, talked about other companies and other companies' titles, even when they just freshly acquired somebody, because they don't want anybody to ever seem like they're on their level. So that really did surprise me there. This was the first pay-per-view that I can remember seeing Triple H wrestle in the biker shorts. I don't know if he acquired this injury on the road to SummerSlam, but he ends up wearing these for almost about a year. He had a groin injury at the time, and the way that the biker shorts, wore it, it kind of held everything in place, and he was actually able to work with it. But you watch this match, you can honestly tell that something is wrong. Triple H is the number 5 entrant into this match, and as his number is called, Ric Flair, is cheering him on, but he walks right into a super kick from Shawn Michaels. And he ends up just kind of like ducking out and hiding in his, quad area of the Elimination Chamber the entire match until it is just 2 men left, Goldberg and Triple H. Goldberg actually ended up getting 3 eliminations in this match. He eliminated Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels, and Chris Jericho. The only other elimination was Chris Jericho was able to pin Kevin Nash after a Shawn Michaels super kick. He was the first one eliminated. After he got up, he delivered a power bomb to Chris Jericho as like a fuck you. And then he took out Shawn Michaels as well on the way out the door. Like I said, this was him leaving WWE, so I'm guessing they wanted him to look strong. If it was in the cards for him to come back. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't like the way he was used and thought he could be used better, and that's why he ended up going with Scott Hall and working the TNA dates where he came in as the Kings of Wrestling with Jeff Jarrett back in the day. But, once it's revealed that it's only Goldberg and Triple H left, Triple H tries to keep himself locked into the quad. I don't know if he thought he was going to be locked in there for eternity, or maybe Goldberg would just quit because he couldn't get at him. Flair's trying to hold it shut. Goldberg ends up just kicking the fucking door down, breaking out Triple H and just beating him around the bush. The only real bad thing about this match, I guess you can say, is it's poor camera skills, because of the fact that at one point Ric Flair shoves the sledgehammer into the ring, but you don't know Triple H has it until Goldberg is actually going to do the spear, and they do the whole thing as Triple H sort of stands out of the way to miss a spear, but he actually hits Goldberg with the sledgehammer as he goes by, knocking him out. Once Triple H gets the win, Evolution, Randy Orton and Ric Flair, they get into the ring. They ended up cuffing him up to the chain that makes the Elimination Chamber, saying that you're never going to get this. Just go home. You're never going to do it. Like I said, in a month, Goldberg wins this championship at Unforgiven, I think is the name of the pay-per-view. I guess it's just the whole bait and switch heel thing. Just chucking it along. But when I think of Goldberg, you got to think of the streak. And this guy wins all the time. I don't know why he didn't win this match. It would have been huge for a SummerSlam moment. I know that when we think of SummerSlam, it's like the second biggest show of the year, this, that, and the other. But I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. It didn't feel right. But then again, I wasn't watching then, so what do I know?